I took this picture in the summer of 2009 on the outskirts of Beijing, and to this day I still don't know what that apparatus is in the lower part of the picture, but it inspired a major plot point in The China Front. Hi everyone, I'm Orion, author of The China Front. Many of the places described in the story are real places that I visited during my 3 years living in Beijing, China. But some of the places are just simply inspired by real places, and some of the places are completely imaginary. Wondering which is which? I'll talk about several of them in this video. And don't worry if you haven't read the book yet. There are no major spoilers here. First, let's visit one of the most important locations in the book, the headquarters for the National Oil and Chemical Company of China. While the name of this company is fictional, it's based on a real company where I was an English teacher for about 8 months. The real name of the company is Sinochem, and it's the third largest oil company in China. That's a pretty intimidating looking facade, right? At least it was for me when I was suddenly tasked with teaching English to the assistant president of Sinochem. Actually, the main villain in the China Front is based on that very assistant president. But that's something we'll cover in another video. Next, let's move just down the street to Tiananmen Square. Now, most people have heard of this place. It's one of the most politically and historically important places in all of China, kind of like the National Mall in Washington, D.C. And it's probably well known in Western countries for being the place where the Chinese government cracked down on a major uprising in 1989. Because it's so close to Sinochem in real life, I drove through Tiananmen Square on an electric bike almost every day for about 8 months, so I got pretty familiar with the place. In the China Front, there's a scene where Andrew is being chased through Tiananmen Square as a lightning storm is starting. It's actually the scene depicted on the cover of the book. In this scene, Andrew runs past Mao's mausoleum and up the steps of Qianmen, which means back gate in Chinese. These are all real places, and I tried to make this scene as realistic as possible. The flash flood that ensues in that scene is even based on a real event that happened when I was living in Beijing in 2012, where the water in some of the streets was so deep, people were rumored to have been swimming in it. Next, let's travel far away from Beijing to the expansive grasslands and desert of Inner Mongolia. This is a vast province on the north side of China, and just to give you a sense of how big it actually is, it's bigger than California and Texas combined. At the beginning of the China Front, Andrew is driving through Inner Mongolia in a Jeep with Charlie and Mazkin, looking for a secret Chinese government-controlled research facility. While that research facility is completely imaginary, at least I hope so, its location is based on a place I visited a few times while I was living in Beijing, a tiny town on the border of the Chinese province of Inner Mongolia and the country of Mongolia. The town is called Ehrenhot, and as you can see, it really is in the middle of nowhere. There's not another town for almost 100 miles in any direction, and it's about 400 miles from Beijing. Besides being a gateway between China and Mongolia, it's still a mystery to me why this town is even here, although it does seem to be trying to make itself into a tourist destination with this dinosaur theme, as you can kind of see from the giant dinosaur statues spanning over the highway as you drive into the town. I really wish I had a picture of that. It's something else. Now you might be wondering, why in the world did I ever go here, and why more than once? Good question. Well, when I first went to China to look for a job, I went there on a tourist visa, which was good for a year, but specified that I had to leave the country every 60 days. So the quickest and cheapest way to do that was to take an overnight bus up to this border town, cross over into Mongolia, and come back. The whole trip took about 24 hours, and I got very little sleep. It was an interesting experience, to say the least. Finally, let's visit the place that I talked about at the beginning of this video, the strange apparatus nestled in the mountains on the far west side of Beijing, near the last station on Subway Line 1, a station called Pingguoyuan, or Apple Orchard. In the China Front, Andrew finds a secret document that leads him out here, searching for a weather control device. Now, in the summer of 2009, I lived with a Chinese family out here in what used to be a small village called Moshiko, that at some point got swallowed up by the expanding suburbs of Beijing. My Chinese host father used to take me for hikes in the nearby mountains, and one time we came to a clearing where you could look down on this strange apparatus. As you can see, it's near a coal power plant, yet it almost looks like a field of solar panels, but not quite. Maybe it is, I could never really get close enough to tell. But the mystery of this place inspired me to imagine that it was a secret Chinese government facility. And now for the places that are completely imaginary. It's a little hard to talk about these without spoiling the plot, so I'll just say that the factory that Andrew and Charlie visit on the north side of Beijing is completely imaginary, as are the secret rooms that Andrew discovers inside the National Oil and Chemical Company. Now, if you haven't read the book yet, you can find a copy on Amazon.com. There's both a print and an ebook. Thanks for watching, and next time on Facts vs. Fiction, I will talk about the real and made-up sciences of climate engineering.